Interactions Collaboration Skills for School Professionals, Chapter 437 by Keisha Thompson. Integrating Skills in Interviews, Chapter 4. First, we're going to look at interview. An interview is an interactive process through which individuals gather information and also provide information to each other by implementing well-developed basic communication skills. The first step in every other interaction process, such as problem solving, managing a conflict, and planning for co-teaching, is going to involve an interview. An interview also begins with gathering information needed to understand a situation or a concern. There's several question formats. The first one would be direct and indirect questions. A direct question is to the point. For example, what kind of behavioral interventions have you used with him? An indirect question sometimes doesn't even need a response. An example for indirect would be, I don't understand what is going on. The next one would be open and closed questions. An open question is defined as having an open range of response. For example, how could I assist you with Cole? A closed question is when responses are limited. How old is Cole? Single and multiple questions is the last one. A single question is when you ask one question at a time, such as, is Carly mastering her math facts? A multiple question is when a person asks a series of questions. How is Carly doing? How is she adjusting to the new reading series? And what issues is she still facing? Next, we'll look at focused inquiry. The first, this plays a critical role in clear communication. There's two primary ways. There's presupposition, which refers to specific question content. How is Carly doing in your classroom? A prefatory statement precedes your question with a statement. For example, you mentioned the new modification with Carly isn't working. What strategies do you plan to use? A descriptive statement. This is describing two ways. Describing overt information, which is the most straightforward. When Cole left the room, several team members stopped and looked at each other. You stopped and asked if you should wait on Cole to return to resume. Describing a covert information. Most of the time it's stated with emotion. For example, I was absolutely terrified, and then finish your sentence. Suggestions for effective interviews. Use pauses effectively. Monitor information, seeking information. Attend to cultural context. And lastly, final thoughts on the interviewing. Interpersonal problem solving, Chapter 5. Interpersonal problem solving. Interpersonal or group problem solving is the essential process used in collaboration activities, whether you are addressing well-defined, partially defined, or ill-defined. Most fundamental components of successful interactions. Reactive and proactive problem solving. Reactive problem solving. You are faced with responding to a crisis or a dilemma that requires attention and action for a brief time. An example would be the interaction you may have with a parent concerning an incident in the classroom or even the lunchroom. A proactive problem solving is an anticipated situation that focuses on your attention and triggers the problem solving process before the crisis begins. An example, maybe creating a positive support system prior to the start of school. Deciding whether to problem solve. First, look at, are the persons who have a responsibility and resources for addressing the problem committed to resolving it? What might happen if nothing were done to resolve the problem? Are adequate times and resources available to resolve the problems? Does the problem merit the effort and resources required to make significant change? Identifying the problem. An identifiable discrepancy exists between and desired current situations. Participants shared the perception that problems exist. Participants agree on the factors that indicate discrepancy. Problem statements invite many kinds of solutions. Implementing a solution. First, you must finalize your plan. Detail your arrangements. Have your criteria plan for your success. Schedule a time for evaluation of the outcome. And part of the success in problem solving is incorporating the concepts and strategies into the process as it occurs day-to-day school applications. Teams, Chapter 6. Team is an educational team that is set of interdependent individuals with unique skills and perspectives who interact directly to achieve their mutual goal of providing students with effective educational programs and services. Characteristics of a team. Teams have a clearly articulated goals. Members are aware of their team membership roles and responsibilities. Team reactions are regulated by shared norms. Team members are interdependent. Team members have unique skills and perspectives. The developmental stage for teams. First is forming, and this is polite, interpersonal, watchful, and guarded. The second one would be storming, which is controlling conflicts, controlling people, opting out, facing difficulties, feeling stuck. The fourth one is norming. This is a developmental stage, establishing procedures and giving feedback. The last one is performing. It's resourceful, flexible, open, and effective. The effectiveness of teams. Members' needs are met. Members have individual accountability. Group processes maintain the team. Team members have leadership skills. Collaborations in teams. They have to share parity. They must both have a common goal, share responsibility in decision making, share accountability for the outcomes. Co-teaching, Chapter 7. What is co-teaching? This occurs when two or more professionals deliver substantive introduction to diverse and blended groups of students in a single classroom. Co-teaching approaches. The first one is one teach, one observe. This is when one teacher has primary instructional responsibility while the other gathers specific observational information. And then one teach, one assist. It's when one teacher has primary instruction responsibility while the other assists the students with their work. Station teaching. It's the flexible group where the co-teacher pair divides the instructional content parts. Each teacher instructs one of the groups and the groups rotate around. A parallel teaching is when each teacher instructs half the students. The two teachers are addressing the same instructional material using the same teaching strategies. Supplemental teaching is when one teacher works with the students in their expected grade level while the other teacher works with remediation. Alternative, which is differentiated, provides two different approaches to the teaching with the same information. And team teaching is the well-planned team taught lessons where the teachers share everything and they feel free to interject. Maintaining collaborative relationships in co-teaching. First, you must understand each other's philosophy and beliefs. Display parity. How will they convey to the students and others? How will they ensure a sense of parity in the planning and delivery? Classroom routines. What are the instructional routines for the classroom? Maybe what are the organizational routines for the classroom? Discipline. That agree on what is acceptable and unacceptable for students' behavior. Maybe who is going to intervene at what part of the student's behavior. Feedback. What is the best way to give feedback? How will they ensure that both positive and negative issues are raised? The noise. What noise levels are we comfortable with in the classroom? And pet peeves. What aspects of teaching in classroom life does to each of us feel strongly about? And how can we identify our pet peeves so that we avoid them? Administration matters related to co-teaching. The need for shared co-teaching planning time. They assist with the scheduling of the teachers, the schedules of the students. They'll come up with a mechanism of problem solving when difficulties arrive. Communication and also resolution of personal issues when one or both co-teachers are reluctant or performing below expectations. Putting ideas into practice. Should always have an agenda. The general educator should prepare a brief overview of the concepts to be addressed. What challenges are we going to face? Discuss the individual students and what problems are where they're lacking. And teachers should address their working relationship. They should discuss any problems that they encountered in the classroom with each other,